Even in death, mankind has struggled to let go of its most earthly possession, the human body. The Egyptians took great care in mummifying their dead, thinking the body would serve their soul as a vessel in the afterlife.
The body was important to preserve in order for the soul to continue to live. If something happened to the body, the soul would also cease to exist.
The secret to Egyptian mummification was a natural salt called natron, but mummification also required the removing of the internal organs and placing them into individual containers called canopic jars.
Without salt, there could not have been mummification. The Nile flooded, and when it retreated, rock salt was collected and stuffed inside the body, and what it did is it sped up a natural drying process, kind of like smoked meat.
After 40 days of drying, the body was wrapped in hundreds of yards of linen, ready to take the next step towards immortality. When Egyptians died, they believed the soul traveled to the Hall of Judgment, where the heart would be weighed against a single feather. If the heart weighed less than the feather, it was deemed pure and void of sin. The soul was allowed to pass and reconnect with its earthly body for all of eternity.
The heart was the critical force in blending the soul and body back together again and united it on a common vision to wherever the gods were going to send it.
Mummification is not just a practice of the past. When legendary Russian leader Vladimir Lenin died in 1924, officials were set on preserving his body.
Lenin was not any mortal. He was the founder of the nation and the embodiment of all that was good. Lenin the man would become Lenin the symbolic spirit of new Russia.
Under the continuing supervision of a group of scientists, the now 137-year-old body of Lenin still appears eerily lifelike.
Contemporary mummification differs from the Egyptian approach in a very important way. It's not orientated towards achieving immortality as experienced in the next world. It's orientated towards achieving a type of immortality in this world.
Many people go an entire lifetime without seeing a dead body. Anatomist Gunther von Hagens is trying to change all that. He has made dead bodies his life's work. His invention is called plastination, a modern-day mummification technique which removes water and fat and replaces them with plastic. The body is stripped of its skin, revealing the human body as never before. It's been called art meets anatomy. It's loved by millions and loathed by millions more. But at its root is pure science.
Graveyards, for me, are a waste of education. You can do something better with your body. We educate ourselves, we work, we make love, and suddenly we should be dumped in earth. Why is that? When we can go to the museum, when we can be appreciated by future generations to come.
Gunther's interest in anatomy developed when he was a young child growing up in East Germany.
I wanted to become a medical doctor since I was 6 years old. At this time, I suffered a nearly fatal injury. The doctors rushed me to the operating room. And the last word before I went to anesthesia, I heard, "He will probably not make it, he will die." And I thought, the first time in my life, what death means.
This would prove to be a turning point in Gunther's life. In 1965, he entered medical school. Von Hagens quickly found he was not only an exceptional student, but a renegade in his approach to traditional science. During an anatomy class, pieces of tissue encased in a plastic box gave von Hagens the notion to push the plastic into the tissue itself. He was told this was not possible.
My response, "You cannot do it." At a time where we're able to go to the moon, we are not able to preserve ourselves in a proper way. And I was haunted by this idea to show him I can do it better.
In 1977, von Hagens successfully plastinated a piece of a kidney. A modern-day mummification technique was born. Gunther von Hagens' pursuit of immortalizing the human body has led him here, to Guben, Germany, near the border of Poland. The Plastinarium is an 8,200 square foot warehouse of death. Von Hagens lives on the top floor. This is where human corpses are turned into sculptures and shipped out to museums across the world. Dr. Death, as he's called by the media, is often seen working on bodies in his trademark black fedora. He has plastinated more than 500 human bodies, and many more lie waiting for their chance at earthly immortality. The dead are stored in a chilled, abandoned factory, archived like alien pods out of a science fiction novel. Each future work of art is embalmed, then transferred to an acetone bath where it sits for 2 months. Von Hagens devised a technique of pushing silicone into every cell in the body.
Right here inside, this is the invention of plastination. How I push the polymer inside, raising the bubbles. The vacuum shifts the polymer inside the tissue. All what I do for the last 30 years is based on this little trick. I am in a way the Robin Hood of anatomy. We give anatomy back to the people.
Through his invention, von Hagens has given the deceased a new option for the afterlife.
There's not much democracy after you die. What you can do with your body? You can go to earth to be buried, or to go to the fire in the crematory. But with plastination, you have a third choice.
Plastination can take on 2 different forms: whole body specimens, which take about 1,500 man-hours to construct, and sheet plastination, known as body slices. These sheets of human anatomy resemble classic stained glass windows, and producing them is no easy task. The body is frozen at -94 degrees Fahrenheit, then sawed with great precision into quarter-inch slices. A clear epoxy resin encases the cadaver and is then cured with ultraviolet light.
In this way you are immortalized slice by slice.
Both forms of plastination are built to last over 10,000 years, making this process the most impressive human body preservation technique ever devised, surpassing the ancient Egyptians with ease.
I feel myself in the tradition of the embalmers of the pharaohs, but one level up, because they were not able to preserve the organs. Those old pharaohs, they are famous not because they are good preserved, they are famous because they are very old. But my plastinates will stay longer on Earth than any pharaohs.
And unlike mummies, the skin of plastinated corpses can be preserved in a perfectly lifelike form. But at the first Body Worlds exhibit in 1983, visitors responded with fear, saying the bodies were too lifelike and eerie. Von Hagens looked to the Italian Renaissance for artistic inspiration. His idea was to pose as specimens in animated, lifelike positions. Plastination continues to grow rapidly in popularity. 25 million people have viewed von Hagens' exhibit, Body Worlds.
It's my first time here. I've never seen anything like this before. Mr. von Hagen is a very fascinating person, and it's very interesting to learn how he actually invented everything. I don't have any problems with other people being plastinated.
The demand to be a living sculpture is larger than ever. 8,000 currently sit on the waiting list. Yet some contributors are more personal than others.
Many body donors are young people, like my best friend. He came to me and he said, "Gunther, I'm diagnosed with a fatal kidney tumor and hypernephroma. I will die within 1 year. I'm too young to go to the cemetery. Please plastinate me. I dissected him, and one day I dissected his nerves. I felt like he stretched his hand to me across the barrier of death.
Though he's been called blasphemous by the church, Gunther sees no conflict between his work and religion.
Body donors are predominantly Christian. Why? Because in the center of Christianity there's a corpse, there's Jesus. According to the Bible, it is said, with the resurrection a new body will be given to you. We give the body to the people for a better life, for education, for post-mortal existence.
Von Hagens continues to plan bigger and bolder plastination sculptures, including one of himself.
My wife prefers that I will be put in the entrance of my exhibition and greet the visitors. But my son, he says, well, you should be cut in slices and distributed all over the world.
His creation has put him in line to become as famous as the Egyptians before him.
As we are proud today to find some mummies, someday, in thousands of years to come, archaeologists will dig me up and will say, oh, this was a time where plastination started.